What's going on, guys? Welcome to your next Unity tutorial, and what we're going to get into in this tutorial is adding a score to our game, because obviously without having a score you can't justify how awesome your game playing abilities are, right? So we need a score, and we also need to be able to destroy our bricks. So we have to work with collisions now. We've worked with collisions a little bit with the walls, but Unity handled all of that stuff for us. We want to make sure we have a specific collision with a specific object, so we're going to get into that. So let's jump into it. We're going to go to our ball script, and this is where we're going to make our edits. And I did, before we jump over there, I did make some adjustments. I thickened my walls because we're going to have our score up here, and the way that I had it previously, you couldn't really see the score that well. So I kind of adjusted my walls, moved my camera back a little bit, moved my paddle down, and this brick is in a different position, but no big deal there. Alright, so let's jump into our ball class, because we're going to check collisions with specific items that our ball makes. So we're going to do that within the ball script, and all we're going to do is create a new method function, and it's called onCollisionEnter is the name of the method. And this is a specific method that Unity uses, or actually objects that have a rigid body component uses this method when it collides with something. So we have to make sure we spell it correctly. It's called onCollisionEnter, case sensitive as you see it there. And then we give our object that we're going to collide with a name that we can work with in the programming. I'm just going to say col for collision, and it's of the type collision. So again, that's a colon there, and then we're going to do collision parentheses and open up our brackets here. So now each time a rigid body that this script is attached to collides with something, it's going to call this method here, and it's going to give us some information about the object that collided with, this col. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure a collision is with a brick, right? A brick object. So we're going to create an if statement, and we're going to refer to this col variable of the information that we get of the object that we collided with. So we're going to say col.collider, and that's going to give us the collider parameters pretty much, and then we're just going to say get the name of whatever it collides with. Okay, so that's what we're doing here, is we're referring to the object that we collided with and getting the name of that object. Now we're going to do a double equal sign, and then within our text, or within quotations, we're going to type out our brick object, because that's what we've labeled that object. So all we're doing now is we're checking if we collided with a brick. That's how that's working, and what we're going to do if we do is we're going to destroy that brick. We're going to get rid of it. So we're going to type out a destroy method. Again, another thing that Unity has that's pretty awesome for us. And we have a couple different parameters. We have the object that we want to destroy and a float. But there's also another parameter down here, another method that we can use, where it's just the object that we want to destroy. So again, we get some information with the object that we collided with. We're checking if that object is a brick, and then we're going to destroy that collision object. So we're going to say col.gameObject, and that's it. Simple as that. The next thing that we want to do is we might want to check for collisions, make sure we're actually making contact, and just us as developers can see some feedback. And we can do that with the print statement, and we're just going to say collided with brick, something like that. This will just help you debug later. If you're getting problems, you can write these print statements all around, and you can be like, okay, it should have collided with that brick, but it's not printing out this print statement, so I got to figure out something that we did wrong here. So the print method is pretty helpful for developers, but here's the main juice that we're looking for, the destroy method. And let's just run this and see what happens. And as you can see there, it just barely tapped that brick object, it destroyed it, and down here in the bottom left corner it printed out collide with brick. So that's pretty awesome. You can click on that, and if you have multiple print statements, it'll show you whatever we printed, to the screen there. So it looks like it's working. Still not that fun of a game because we don't have a score yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the gameObject tab, create other, and it's going to be a GuiText. Okay, just a text file, and we're going to move this up to either the top or wherever you guys want to move this. I'm probably going to move it to the top of the game, and over here maybe make some adjustments as font size. We're going to go about 35, and spacing, we're going to anchor it in the middle center, and maybe move it back down just a hair. We'll say 0.95. And you don't really have to change the text, but we can just to get a kind of a rough estimate of how it's going to look. So we're going to say score 0 for now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the ball class, and we want to update our score within here. Within our collision, after we destroy a brick, we're going to update a score type object. So let's create a new variable. It's going to be a private variable, and it's going to be just called score, and it's going to be of the type int, and it's going to start at 0 or integer. Now each time we collide and we destroy a brick, what we're going to do is we're going to refer to our score, and we're just going to say plus equals like 10 or something like that. So now our score will increase by 10 each time a brick is destroyed. But again, that's not relating to our GuiText at all. This is just an integer value, not a GuiText. So let's create a new variable. We're going to call this GuiText or GuiScore, and it's going to be of the type GuiText. So that's pretty cool. And now what we can do to set the score, if you guys didn't change your score the way it looked here, like I told you you didn't have to, within our start method, all we're going to do is we're going to say our GuiScore.text. We're going to set this equal to score:0. Whoops. And that would do the same thing as how we change it graphically over here in the Unity frame. It would refer to whatever the GUI text is and get the text of it and change it to whatever we type in here, and then make sure you add your semicolon. And now what we want to do is, again, within our collision that we make, we're just going to refer to our GUI text and do the same type of thing. So we're going to say GuiScore.text is equal to, and then we're going to say score: space and our text right there, and hit a plus, and then refer to our score integer value that we have set up here. So again, that's kind of all we're doing. Pretty simple scoring system there. Let's save this, and I want to show you guys something else. So we run our game, and it didn't look like it worked. I mean, nothing happened. Our score didn't move, and that's not that cool. But the thing is, all we've done is we've defined a variable that's of a GuiText type, but we haven't made any correlation with the actual game screen over here with what texture or GuiText we want to change. Because we could have 20 different GuiText on our screen, so we have to make that link up. And if we go into our ball object, and over in our scripts, you get a new parameter that we can add some information to. Just like our rigid body has some inputs we can tinker around with, same with scripts. If you want to make a script custom for certain things, you can add variables that we can change around. So what it's doing is it's saying it's looking for a GUI score, which is the name of our GuiText here that we created, and it's looking to find a GuiText object. So all we have to do is tell it which GuiText object we want to interact with here. So let's go over to our hierarchy, grab our GuiText, and just drag it and give it that information that it's looking for there. So now we've linked up our actual GuiText, which is our scoring system, to our script that it's looking for. So now it's going to know that this variable that we created, GuiScore, is actually that GuiText in our game. So now let's run this again, and we have a simple scoring system. It looks pretty good. You know, still kind of basic. We got a little ways to go with our game before it's actually somewhat fun and looks a lot better than it is looking right now. But that's kind of the basics of working with GuiText and also collisions. So thanks for watching this tutorial, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.